beans, I make them with carrots and onions, and then when I cook beans more, I try to sneak in green things. But if he sees something green, he doesn't want to eat it. That's one of, he's great with the diet, but he puts his foot down in certain ways. So that's beans. It's critical that I have beans all the time for him, because for him, it's the best way to get prebiotics into his body and things. He eats a large quantity of meat. It's hard not to eat a lot of meat on this diet. The other foundation for my son's diet is this bread that I make. It looks like this. I make it with a silicone, they're baking trays. They're round silicone things that you can put the batter in, and then it turns them into these. This particular batch came out a little flat, but I use these for hamburgers. He has toast. I put, these are seeds like that have garlic and sesame seeds in them that make them like bialys from my culture. He likes that, and I also put raisins and cinnamon in some of them so that he always has a variety of bread. This is a big go-to for him. In order to make this bread, I must have farmer's cheese. And I got this because this I discovered is a kind of cheese you can buy that's farmer's cheese. It's called Friendship farmer's cheese. This is cultured, and it's cultured long enough that it's acceptable for the specific carbohydrate diet. I prefer my own version of that cheese, which is this. I prefer it because it's half as expensive. I'm used to making it. Again, there is a learning curve on all of this, and you can decide where you want to put your attention and energy at any given period of time. You can buy Friendship farmer's cheese around here. And I've found other versions in California, you can find it. But I also like the texture of this better. This is wetter than this is, but they both work.
How do you make it?
The bread is made with basically, these come in smaller containers as well. I think they're 4-ounce containers. This is 16, maybe they're 6 ounces. So I'm somebody who doesn't follow recipes. Once I learn how to do something, I just make it. So it's about this much cheese. Depending on how many I'm making, it's either 1 or 2 eggs. And the basic recipe is 1 egg, this much cheese, and a cup of almond flour. This is almond flour. I have become a member of Costco, which I never was before, simply because of this flour. Actually, there's some other things I buy at Costco. This almond flour, 3 pounds, is I think $12 at Costco. If you buy a pound of it anywhere else, it's $10, $11. So we go through a lot of this, and I could talk about that later in talking about recipes that we make, because I have a whole bunch of recipes that I make regularly. But this bread is made with those 3 ingredients and baking soda. We never use baking powder because it has cornstarch and other things in it that are not on the diet.
And how do you make the cheese?
The cheese I make with, again, a gallon of milk. I use whole milk. You can make it with, but I want to get as much nutrients in as possible. Buttermilk. So I use about, this here is 2 cups. There's some issues. This won't last very long in the fridge, so I can make probably 2 batches before I question whether or not it's fresh enough, even though it says I have over a month on here. So I'll make a batch of cheese every 10 days, probably, maybe every 2 weeks, depending on how much my son is full-blown adolescence, thriving and massively huge. Clearly his gut is working, but he eats a lot of food. So you can put anywhere, you'll find recipes online for cultured farmer's cheese, and some of them say just to put a couple tablespoons in. I just go and that's it. In a container of a pot of milk. I put it on, I often warm it up on the stove. If it's summertime, you don't need to do that. You just leave the gallon out until it's room temperature. I put it on the stove to get it up to like 75 degrees. I put this in, I mix it up, I put a lid on it, I put it in my oven with the light on for 24 hours. And I'll talk to you later about how to actually make that, but you can look it up online, cultured farmer's cheese.
And that means like it cannot be done with vinegar or
No.
or
That won't.
lemon juice.
No, that's.
I've read that.
Yes,
that's
that's
not
non-cultured farmer's cheese. That's
I
how you
see.
make cottage cheese,
okay.
and that has lactose in it.
Mm.
So this culture over 24 hours consumes all the lactose, which is what you're trying to do,
Okay.
and it also makes it rich in probiotics. You can use this cheese for all kinds of things on the selective carbohydrate diet. You can make cheesecake, you can make things that you would use ricotta in. We basically, every once in a while I make a kind of fake lasagna and I'll use this, but mostly I use this for bread.
And could it also be done with rennet?
Rennet, I think you can use rennet, but it's not going to help you on the selective carbohydrate diet. Rennet makes cheese, but it doesn't eat.
It doesn't make a culture. And there's culture in the.
There is culture in here. That's the reason why it has
What does it have?
Bulgaris thermophilus
Oh, okay.
is what this
I
has,
see.
and both of those are acceptable on the diet. I'm going to just turn for a second to a company called Welby's, which is a company that specializes in making prepared foods for people on the selective carbohydrate diet. This is red lentil pasta from Welby's. This is made with lentil flour from lentils that have been pre-soaked, then dried, then turned into flour, then turned into pasta. Welby's also makes lentil flour, which I'm out of, but I use that in a lot of things. I make something equivalent to tortillas with the lentil flour that Ago uses all the time. And sometimes I'll make my own lentil flour, but that's a lot of work. So I try not to do work when I can buy things. So lentil pasta, and lentils again won't work until you're further into the diet, where your gut is already well into healing. Then you can add lentils and beans into your diet. They make this. They make a kind of granola, which we're almost out of. That's just made with nuts, basically, and honey and coconut. And they also, this was kind of a game changer a little bit. I used to have to make ketchup all the time. I have a kid. They make honey sweetened ketchup. The other condiment and they also make honey sweetened barbecue sauce, which is quite good. And they use dates as well. The other condiment that we use for my son is mayonnaise. He likes making something he calls remoulade, where he mixes the ketchup and the mayonnaise, and he will have one of his staples is something we call chicken fingers, but they're basically breaded with egg and almond flour, and then I fry them, and then he dips them in his remoulade. The critical thing about mayonnaise is you don't want mayonnaise with sugar, and you don't want mayonnaise, you try to avoid soy products, and most mayonnaise is made with soy oil. So this, I've found this Whole Foods mayonnaise is very useful. This is nut milk. I'm gonna just turn quickly to my other machines here. This is a Vitamix, which took me a long time to break down and buy, because I have a Cuisinart. I use the Cuisinart to make protein balls for him. I put nuts in there, and Ago can now have chocolate, which is an addition to he can only have, cocoa powder. He can't have any sugar in it. But as his gut has healed, I've been able to add some things to his diet. But you can make protein balls with dates, nuts, almond butter, various different kinds of nuts. You can put cardamom, you can put cinnamon in that, and I use this for that. I also If you want to make pesto, different kinds of sauces, I use this. When it comes to making things extremely fine, if you want to try to make your own nut flours or lentil flour, you need a more powerful machine. The Vitamix works for that. We use it mostly for smoothies. He eats a lot of smoothies. It's the only way I can get spinach into him. He will accept a green smoothie. He won't accept spinach any other way, but a green smoothie he will have, which I make with yogurt, banana, honey, and spinach.
Cooked spinach?
No, raw. I put it in the freezer. I always have a bag of frozen spinach, and I just put a handful of it in a smoothie for him. But the thing we mostly use this for is almond milk. Nut milks, when you buy them commercially, almost always have guar gum or tapioca in them, both of which are not allowed on the diet. We have a bag of raw almonds. I soak. You can make it quickly by putting warm or hot water on almonds until the skin comes off, and then you just take the skin off. And this is about 20 almonds in here. 20 almonds will make a thing of almond milk. What nobody tells you is that those things of almond milk that you buy have almost no almonds in them, but it makes almond milk. So 20 almonds, filling it up to, something that ends up filling this up. We put a tiny bit of vanilla, and you have to get vanilla that's made without sugar, just grain alcohol, and you don't want to use glycerin either. So a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon, and a tiny touch of honey. And this will pulverize the almonds enough to make almond milk. So that's what this is. He uses almond milk in all kinds of things.
And is it that we cannot eat the shell, or it's just so that it's white and not kind of brown? Or
I don't know. I mean, oh no, you can eat the shell. There's no point. But if I used the shell, they would be brown. Also, nuts, especially if you can find almonds that haven't been zapped. A lot of nuts are zapped to make them not mold. So I say zapped. I think that actually means irradiated, which happens with a lot of bulk food, even organic. It's really hard to get away from that. But if you can find nuts that are raw, that are not dead, right? You put them in water, and you don't put them in boiling water. You put them in water and let them soak 24 hours. They start actually coming to life the way that seeds do. That changes their enzyme structure. That's the preferred way to do it. And in fact, I love eating nuts like that. They're super healthy. They'd probably be really good for your gut. My son doesn't care about eating the nuts. He just wants the almond milk, and he's not going to have it if it's brown. He won't eat it if it's brown. You could try it. But a lot of, especially when you're early in the diet, you want these things to get soft, and you want them to not bother your gut. It's possible that raw almonds at this point in your journey are going to upset your stomach. I don't know why almond flour might not, but maybe because it's already broken down. I don't know.
Well, it's not in the intro diet.
It's not in the intro diet, right? So I'm thinking about honey, raw honey. I buy it in bulk. This is also an important part of the diet. Is there another thing here that I can? Well, I could show you. I put it out. I have a waffle maker. I did put it out, but I don't know where I put it. I have a waffle maker. I make bananas here. These are really critical part of the diet. These bananas have turned a little brown. They've got spots on them. These bananas have not enough for my son to eat. They're a little bruised, but they're green, and they haven't. You need to start seeing dots all over them.
The ones that come by themselves, not the ones that come from squeezing, basically.
Yeah, exactly. These are bruised.
Yeah.
These are ripe.
Yeah.
And you need to eat ripe bananas. The carbohydrate structure changes between this and this. This you can metabolize. This
That's still starchy already.
exactly right. So I make waffles.